What's up, YouTube? Big Dog here, back again for yet another edition of Big Dog Movie Reviews. Today we're reviewing one I've heard a lot about, and that is Little Women. Spoilers ahead, be forewarned. But yeah, I've heard a lot about this film, a lot about the acting in it, and just the overall quality of it, a lot about the directing from Greta Gerwig. So yeah, same format as always, likes, dislikes, final score, final comments. Let's get into it, shall we? Little Women likes. I loved the relationship they formed with the Lawrence family, all the girls and their mother, how they formed this very tight bond with the Lawrence family. I thought that was a very cool part of the film. And Mr. Lawrence is probably my favorite character of the whole film. Doesn't have a whole lot of screen time, but when he does, he just had my full attention every time he was on screen. I thoroughly enjoyed Mr. Lawrence's presence in the film. But yeah, probably my favorite character is Mr. Lawrence, and probably the Lawrence family as a whole. I thought they were a very interesting dynamic to play off of this family of girls. So Mr. Lawrence was my favorite character, but as far as performance goes, Laura Dern, probably the standout. Hardly surprising. She's a very talented woman. I have yet to see her in a movie where she doesn't just knock it out of the park. So Laura Dern, top-notch actor, standout performer of the film. I loved how they showed so the film fluctuates a lot between the past and the present, I guess is what you'd say. A lot about from when they were younger, like little women, I guess, to like their old, like teeny bopper years, like 13, 14, 15, to them being like in their mid-20s, early 20s. And I loved how they show a lot of how like the younger years as the girls influenced a lot of their lifestyle choices in the later years of the film. And I thought that gives good context to the characters and their motives and just like where they're at in the later years parts of the film. Just how they ended up where they at. I thought that was very cool. A lot of time jumping to describe that though, which I'll get to later. And very much, this is one of those films where it's just the ability to bond with the characters in the film. It's as easy as pie. They did a very good job of portraying how, what the very particular parts of each character, particularly the four girls in particular, what they like, how they act, what they like, why they like what they like. They did a very good job of being able to bond with a lot of the characters in the film. So that's kind of a big part that I like about it. Character development and character bonding is very high for this film. Well, that's it for the likes, now to the dislikes. So, like I said, it plays a part of time jumps between when they were younger to like their teen years to their early 20s. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of films that are set like that. I don't really like to, I think, especially when a lot of flashbacks they had weren't always obvious. There were times where I thought they were in their early 20s when it turns out they're in their younger years, and vice versa. I would have liked to see a little bit more linear of a story. As I'm not a huge fan of like time jumping like this to begin with. Then when you add in a large quantity of it and not always it being obvious, that's a good way for me to not like a big chunk of the film. So I think would have liked seen a little more linear story. Now afterwards I was explained that Amy goes on a trip and they don't want her to, Beth gets really sick and they don't want to ruin Amy's trip, so they don't tell her. They don't want her to come back. So one of my friends told me that it was her trip to Europe, which they've said in the film that she's going on a trip to Europe. But to me, they didn't make it very particularly obvious that that was the trip to Europe that she was on. Again, kind of a dumbass, but I would like to see that play out a little more obviously for my dumbass. So yeah, I was a little hesitant. I was a little confused on what Amy's trip was when they kept referring to it as Amy's trip. And they weren't super clear on a lot of things. Like when Lori and Joe were not dating. When for a majority of the film I thought they were. Up until they straight up said they weren't. I thought they were dating for the longest time. And who Amy's fiance was, that didn't get explained until at least halfway through the film, maybe more. Would have liked to see more of that be a little more obvious. Again, I'm an idiot, I know, but I like things to be obvious. But yeah, that's all I have to say on the film. I'll say this, it didn't live up to expectations, but I say that kind of lightly because I figured this movie wouldn't be my cup of tea anyway. I mainly just went and saw it because of how all the good things I heard about it. So that Little Women deserves a 5 out of 10 for me. That's not all that it's hyped up to be. Apparently this is I've never heard of this story before, but talking to a few friends, this apparently is one of many iterations of this story. And I hope it's not the best iteration, put it that way. Excuse me. So yeah, Little Women, 5 out of 10, pretty average for me. Wasn't blown away, but I wouldn't say I disliked the film either. That's all I got for Little Women, 5 out of 10. But that's the review. It's going in the book. Please do comment, let me know what you thought of the film. I'd like to know other people's thoughts. Smash a Rooney that like button. Subscribe if you're any type of movie fan whatsoever. I keep the movie reviews flowing. And as always, if you're looking to get a little more involved with the channel, do follow the corresponding Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd accounts. Username for all three of those is at BigDogMR79. Please, as always, I'll put that up on the screen at the end of the video. That's all I have for today. I'll see you next time for the next movie review. But until then, change the world. See you later.